Hello and welcome back to Operations with Void. I'm your host, Forgotten Void, and today we will be explaining the mechanics of the Utah Beach battle, which is currently on PTS, but to be released next month. Things might change. It is on public test server, is still being tested, so there are some things that may change. But for the most part, the way the battle should play should stay the same. So we're going to focus on the mechanics and what you need to do in order to do well in this battle. So for this video's showcase, we're going to use the Vauquelin, a French destroyer, and I'll explain more about why we chose this ship in the battle. But first, the equipment. We have depth charge modification. None of the others, we choose depth charge modification. And when you're in a destroyer, you want to move to depth charge modification to do this operation. And then everything else stays the same. As for skills, we have your standard destroyer skills, plus Fearless Brawler, Adrenaline Rush, Main Battery and AA Specialist, and Grease the Gears, which should be more or less standard for French destroyers anyways. Not sure if it's true, but that is what I am using for this. I guess for higher tier, you kind of want IFHE for some of the ships, but for this mode, you don't need IFHE because none of the enemy ships really need it. They're all destroyers. Anyways, without any further ado, we'll go ahead and head into battle. So, for this mode, as you see, you have a briefing, and then you have team members and tips, and I think they added a division tab as well. So, as you see, I'm actually running with 2 of the members, and you can choose your buffs beforehand. And for this, we have 2 buffs. We haven't gotten all the buffs yet at this point in time. And there are multiple buffs. What we are using is damage to, or depth charge explosion radius. And we have the other buff is damage, increased penetration to forts with HE and AP. Like plus 40% increased penetration. So there's multiple buffs. And they actually have upgrades. There are buffs to where you do extra. They're under intelligence data. It's HE and AP shell penetration, and it actually can be upgraded up to 2 times. The first time increases the risk of reduces the risk of catching fire. I'm not sure what the second upgrade does. There is an upgrade that reduces your torpedo damage taken, an upgrade that reduces your shell dispersion for some of the destroyers, and then there's another upgrade which does the same thing for the other destroyers, based on if they're gunboat or torpedo boat. And then, yeah, what I mentioned about the mines. And then there's also upgrades for the German side of the mission. And I had the unfortunate situation where I got all of the German upgrades while doing this op. So and I'm not even sure if they can be used for the second op, and I won't know until next week anyways, when the other, I think 1 or maybe 2 of the operations will come out for next week's PTS. Anyway, so right now we're just working on the Channel boats. These are patrol boats. They have destroyer icon. You have the destroyer voice lines when they are destroyed, but they are not destroyers. They are patrol boats or torpedo boats, whatever you want to call them. They're both are the same thing. They usually have 2 to 4 torpedo racks per boat. These ones, I believe, are 4 torpedo racks, so they can launch 2 torpedoes twice before they have to reload. The torpedoes don't do that much damage, but, you know, if you take a bunch of them, they will. So in this, currently in this op, you have two sets of patrol boats that come from both sides, and then a lot of minefields that are initially set up, just all over. And this is why you need to have the depth charges, because these depth charges, especially on the ship-based depth charges or destroyer-style depth charges, you can clear out a lot of mines. And I realized what my issue with aiming on the PTS is because I use dynamic aiming on the live server, but it would automatically switches you to static, and so I was just going through all the static reticles, and that's why my aim is just so horrendous, because I'm not used to static. And so I was just starting to get used to static here. And, oh, we take one. So you see, it does about 5k damage to surface ships. But to the transports that will come later, and I'll explain that when it comes to that. As you see, we actually can go really close to these mines. They won't spill up. So you really have to get on top of them for them to detonate. Now, the downside about the ship-based depth charges is they detonate behind you, usually. So you really have to watch your speed when doing that. When clearing the minefields with ship-based depth charges. And so that is the sound saying we have completed a secondary, which is destroy 10 of the torpedo boats. So there's multiple objectives. The main objective is first to incapacitate the AA locations, and once the AA is done, then you need to destroy 3 of the coastal guns. And it kind of helps to get 3 of the coastal guns next to each other. Unfortunately, the coastal guns are invisible until aircraft come in and show where they are. Until the AA guns are destroyed, the aircraft won't come in. So you destroy the AA guns, get the aircraft in. The aircraft will then make each individual coastal gun or airfield visible for shelling, and then it will also make them take damage. Like, they take very reduced damage until they have become visible. It's the same way in Cherry Blossom, where they take almost no damage, but once they become an actual objective invisible, then they'll take full damage. And as a destroyer, what your job is to spot the coastal guns. And the reason why I choose Vauquelin specifically is because you have larger guns, and with the increased penetration, we can actually shoot them from further away. So we don't have to get really close. If you don't have the increased penetration, and you have smaller 127s, you probably have to get closer to 2 kilometers to penetration them. But because we have 139s, plus the 40% increased penetration, we can actually penetrate much further. And so this allows us to help. Currently, in the current situation, the coastal guns, once the AA are done, the coastal guns become much more accurate. They have single-mounted 152 cannons, the same that you find on Z31 and Good Job Marker and that line of destroyers. They have the same 152s. Which, if you know, if you've played those ships, they have like a 6, 7, 8, maybe like a 7, 8 second reload. It's closer to 8. And so because of that, we want the coastal guns dead. And so we went and we said that coastal gun dies. But these ones, if you notice, they are one, very accurate, and two, they have a 2-second reload. 2. These guns in real life would have between an 8 to 10 second reload. These in the game have a 2-second reload. This actually is one of the things that really needs to be changed before it comes to live, because these guns having increased accuracy, increased damage, and also having 38mm plus pen, because they're German 152s. So, they're doing 1,500, 1,300 or so. They're usually doing 1,300 damage per hit, or give or take, every 2 seconds. And on a battleship, they won't miss. On a cruiser or destroyer, yeah, they can miss. But on big ships, they just won't miss. And they have a 13-kilometer range. So if you're outside of 13 kilometers, they won't hit you. But yeah, they have a 13-kilometer range. So the aerodromes, if you destroy the aerodromes, the attacks from aircraft will be reduced, but the only dangerous aircraft are really the rocket planes. Otherwise, no. And so don't focus on those. Just have a ship with AA or something that can dodge the rocket planes. By dodge, I mean you always face into them, no matter which way they're coming. You see the coastal guns, 13 kilometers range, and so you really have to get far from that. You see our main battery is 13 kilometers, so you have to be like out here to not be shot at them. This means heavy cruisers and battleships are really good at taking care of them because they can shoot from outside their range. Other ships, Fiji can do it because you can use smoke and hide in smoke while shooting at them. Otherwise, you should start focusing on destroyers at this point in time. 7 destroyers spawn on this map, a mix of Z-23, T-22, Z-31s, and they will go after the transport ships. They spawn. The 3 of the destroyers will spawn randomly, either at A5, at F10, or at I7. They will spawn in one of those. And then the other 4 destroyers will spawn behind the transports, and they will all go for the transports. So in order to complete this, you need something that can take out destroyers very quickly, sitting back there in the corner, not doing anything for the first half. If you want to have this saving all the transports, that's 2 stars. 2 stars lost if you don't have anybody sitting, basically spawn camping the destroyers. And when I mean somebody, I mean Atlanta or Helena or Dallas or Flint or something with really high DPM that can take care of the destroyers. we don't really have the DPM at this point because, as you see, that right now there's 4 or 5 of them right there. No, pretty much in any one single ship will just be gunned down by all of that. So you need something that can just take care of them quickly. Actually, Omaha might be really good because you could just use torps on 4 of them. And you have really good DPM. Boise is another one that does really good because you have the super heal plus you have good. So these are the ships you would want there to take care of the destroyers. Another thing is the transports. They take 10k damage from mines. Straight up 10k damage. How much health do they have? 10k. Okay, so the primary task was completed. I was with div mates. They were taking care of the forts. That is one thing you want division mates for, is so that you can do, so that the destroyer, you can either go after the destroyers, or you can help clear the mines away from the transports. And so in this case, the destroyers, well, they were taking care of the transports anyways, so it's not like if I had gone ahead and taken out the mines, would the transports have survived? Especially since there's also forts that were taking out transports. Yeah. The amount of DPM there, it gets if the issue there is the DPM is very concentrated, so you need to have something that will take them out very quickly. That's why I have boys. When I do Boise, I do heavy HE build, so that, you know, 2 salvos and there's no more destroyer. Especially when you start with the T21 and T22s. But because the victory, even if all the ships are destroyed, you'll still get victory. Also, because you just need to take out 3 of the coastal guns. All the rest are extra. And so here we got 3 of the things. This is where one of them gets upgraded by getting that green star. I think you'll get another star if you do that. So by doing it multiple times, you'll get multiple rewards, and more of the confidential documents which will make it easier. But if you really want to get 5-star, you need to have at least 5 people in a division together, if not 6. Which the maximum is 6. That said, you get kind of decent rewards for even a 1-star. The fort was 7,400, and just like normal operations, the forts, the AA gun batteries, the enemy's HP will fluctuate based on the what tier ship you're using. So if you're using all tier 5s, then things will be easier. But if you're using all tier 7s, then at the current stage, it feels like it's the same hardness as super hard operations for the Halloween ops that happened a while back. At least to get all 5 stars. Like, the super hards were actually hard to win or losses more often than wins, but at least this one, the wins are decent. So this is the intelligence data screen, so you can actually preload which ones you want. So like you can preload the mines, these are the destroyer ones if you want coastal guns, and then you do the gunboats. I always do the gunboats over the torpedo boats, because the gunboats are the ones you want to focus on, whereas the torpedo boats, these are the torpedo boats. These are the gunboats. You want this. Z-31, Z-30. T-22 is not a torpedo boat, it's a gunboat. But it has less HP, so yeah. Anyways, if if you like this video, you like the explanation of these ships, go ahead and click that like button. If you want to see more, subscribe. Now for a bonus are which ships that I have found useful. West Virginia 44. If you work to get for this, if you don't already have her, she's in the dockyard right now. She is actually really good because of the secondaries, and the guns are really good for the forts. Nelson's alright, but I know a lot of people don't have it. Fiji's decent, but her ship-based depth charges, she doesn't really have enough of them. Strasbourg is fast, and you have the main battery reload booster, so she's pretty good. Huron, I have found, is actually really good because you have a heal and hydro. Smoke, you don't need smoke, and that's why Vauquelin and Huron are actually really good in this map, because they're built around not having smoke. What else? Lion might be decent. I haven't actually tried her. But Flint, Boise, Sims is alright. Mahan's alright. You want the gunboats for destroyers. You want the gunboats for cruisers. New Orleans is decent. Omaha sounds actually pretty good. The more I think about it, the more Omaha sounds like a good choice, even though it's only tier 5. Tier 6. Perth might actually be decent. Now that I think about it, Perth might actually be decent. Repulse, even though her guns are accurate, she just doesn't have enough of them. So I would say no for Repulse. For tier 5, Hill is alright, but I would go with the tier 7 destroyers just because you get more HP. Same reason I wouldn't go for these. You just get more HP at the higher tier ones. Oklahoma, yeah, I would go for a higher tier battleship if you can. Even New Mexico, just for the shorter reload. I mean, Oklahoma is nice because of the secondaries, but if you're doing that, Weavy 44 is still better. But yeah, the Omaha specifically, because she has 4 torpedo racks. Okay. You have 4 torpedo packs, whereas the Marbleheads, they have 8-kilometer torpedoes, but you don't really need those. If you want to be torpedoing stuff, you're close range because they do turn a lot. So having 4 torpedoes at 5.5 kilometers is probably better. And it's a tech tree ship. Even better. So those are my recommendations for ships, for at least for this op. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and put those in the comment section below. I am pretty active, and I do hope to see you again next week. Have a good one.